Hey guys, it's Generalkidd here. How's everyone doing today? So, for today's video, we're going to be tackling the question of what happens if the Cricket Cop in Halo 3 ODST on a mission Data Hive is infected by the Flood. So, yeah, this is kind of a bizarre question we're tackling, but I thought it was a pretty interesting question that was brought up to me. And, well, it's like one of those questions that test like the boundaries of Halo 3, like test the extremes for like how well the game handles certain things. Because the Flood never existed in ODST. You had to like mod it so that the Flood are in the game, and obviously like it was never supposed to be a Flood encounter, so it's gonna be interesting to see like how the game actually handles the Cricket Cop becoming infected by the Flood. So it was a little tricky to get this to work. Actually, it took a little bit to set it up, but I finally got it to work, and there are a few compromises I had to make to get this working, which I'll explain a little bit in the video. But now that the cop has turned against us, if you guys remember from my previous video, all allies also turn against you whenever the cop turns against you. And that's because the game is scripted to turn all, any like friendlies into like kind of like a betrayal mode. Like when you betray a lot of friendlies, they turn against you. That's kind of like what the game does here, and that's why all your allies turn against you as well. Well, I wanted to see what happens if the cop was infected instead, because like after you kill the cop in this case, then all your friendlies that turn against you, they turn back to friendly again. And as you can see here, after that cop got infected by the Flood, Buck here did turn back to a friendly again. Now if you're wondering why the cop turned into a brute here, it's because for some reason the game kept crashing if I tried to get him to turn into Flood combat form, and I wasn't sure why, so I just had him, when he gets infected, he transforms into a brute. It's still the same system, it's just instead of turning into a Flood combat form, it turns into a brute, but it still counts as him infected by the Flood. So, yeah, that's why. But as you can see there, once the cop got infected, Buck turned friendly again. And the reason why that is because whenever an AI gets infected by the Flood, they actually temporarily, like for like a second, they actually die. And during like the whole animation, they're actually technically considered dead. And that's why during this time, the any friendly allies that are around you, such as Buck in this case, he will turn friendly, and he'll actually attack the cop, even though he's still like not infected yet. He's still mid-infection. But that's actually pretty interesting. I wasn't really sure what would happen, but indeed the cop does actually die during the infection part, and yeah, the allies just turn back normal, and it's pretty interesting because like Buck turns friendly again right away, right instantly. Just no transition period. But the next thing I do want to try out is what happens if the cop is infected earlier, before he turns against you. Now normally you can't take out the cop before he turns into the enemy, but interestingly enough, the Flood can actually still infect him and quote unquote kill him during the party's friendly, even though he's supposed to be invincible. And as you can see, what happens now is very interesting, because technically the Cricket Cop died before his whole sequence where he turns evil, and for a minute there, Buck actually remained friendly. But then the whole sequence where the cop turns into an enemy again, it still happens even though he's dead. And as a result, Buck turns friendly. I mean, he turns into an enemy and starts attacking me. But because the cop is already dead, there's no way to undo this. So Buck remains an enemy for the entire time, forever. And like I said, friendlies only turn back to friendly if they see the cop being taken out. But in this case, the cop's already dead, so no way to turn them back. So at this point, I thought, what if I went forward to see what happens? Well, I went all the way to where Dare is, and I loaded the cutscene and everything. At this point, Buck should have been despawned long ago, but I loaded the cutscene. Dare is there, fine in the cutscene, nothing wrong. However, after the cutscene, Dare is actually an enemy now too. So by basically taking the cop out earlier before he turns into an enemy, it doesn't matter like that he was infected by the Flood necessarily. It's just whatever way to take him out, even though he's supposed to be invincible. All friendly allies throughout the rest of the mission, they will all be enemies at this point. It's kind of like if you take out Captain Keyes at the beginning of Halo 1, but like you glitch or you clip out the room. all enemies will be like, all friendlies will be enemies after that point. It's kind of like that situation. But in this case, you know, obviously the game wasn't really meant to handle that, so that's why like weird things can happen. But that's basically what happens if the Crooked Cop gets affected by the Flood, either early or after he turns evil. But anyways, hopefully you guys did enjoy this video and found it to be interesting. If you did, as always, make sure to leave a like. Leave your thoughts and comments. And if you want to check it out or look into, just let me know. But other than that, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Bye, guys.